Sorry I'm late. This is the most pressing news of the hour that I can think of, really, is yet an NFL player who isn't dead yet, but we really don't know how well he's doing. And some people are speculating that his prognosis isn't good based on the things that happened to him on the field. So tell me in the chat if you know, because you might be more of an expert on YouTube than I am. Tell me if you know if it's okay to play the clip of the hit, because I'll play it for you so you can see. They're saying that it's this thing, probably. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. Commotio cordis, or commotio, not sure. I don't know my Latin that well. Sometimes called the touch of death. It happens sometimes to some people. It happens very rarely, if ever, in the situation that it supposedly happened in this case. So actually, let me share this on Twitter. And you know what I can't say? So you're already here, and the title says, why did this guy's heart stop, right? You know, I can't say that it was because of the medical intervention. But I can say that it's unknown right now. And I can talk about the speculation, which is what it is, until we know more. It's all speculation. So the experts and authorities, they seem to be pushing the narrative that there is a cause for this that is known, and that it's commotio cordis, also known as the touch of death, which has been a thing for a long time. Happens sometimes when people get hit in the heart, which is why I want to know if I can show the clip. So hold on one sec. I'll tweet this out to my huge social media following. Thanks for tuning in. We talked about the Twitter files earlier. That was some interesting news. Damar Hamlin is this person's name. He is currently, like, seriously, you have to be careful about how you talk about it too, because people are really sensitive. So some people find it very insensitive for anyone to suggest that it might have been due to something, due to that medical intervention that everybody, most everybody did. And apparently they say 100% of the Bills team had that medical intervention done to them, either 100% or there were only 2 players or whatever it is. People have done their research. And even though medical records are private, people have come to the conclusion that Damar Hamlin, got the intervention that everybody's talking about. And it's like, people are thinking it. Probably more than half of people, because we already had the poll I told you guys about yesterday from Rasmussen, where they said 50% of people in the United States, according to this poll, believe that the shots might be responsible for the rise in sudden deaths. So even though it's not true, see what I did there? Even though it's not true, people think that. And then even more than a quarter of people believe they know somebody who they think actually suddenly died as a result of the medical intervention, even though I'm sure they're wrong, right? So anyway, Just saying, we don't know. And don't let anybody convince you that they know. And I'm going to just go through I've just done some research on this thing, Commotio cordis, just to see whether it's really likely that that's what it was, and to say it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible because there is a thing. It is a thing where people get hit in the chest and die. Usually, though, like almost 100% of the time, it's not from a football tackle. So that's the only thing. So I am able to cast doubt on what right now is kind of the official theory, which is that it's Commotio cordis, or it might be Commotio cordis. So I'll go over all that information, and then I think I'll go over to Rockfin or off YouTube to show you some other videos, and also maybe take phone calls because people might have opinions about why his heart stopped, because that's in the title. People might have opinions about it, which are considered unacceptable, right? Unacceptable views. So we don't want to have those here. So, all right, I'm going to go over the evidence. If you want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil and leave a tip, or I'm wearing a t-shirt today. I normally wear a hoodie every day. This is cool. You can buy these. These are in stock at truthclothing.io. And there's a link for that in the description. And then also, if you want to buy me a coffee or leave a tip, you can do it at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. And then YouTube doesn't take 30%. But if you leave me a super chat, I'll read it. I'm not crazy. All right. So I'll play the intro and then we'll show you some stuff. Welcome, everybody. We are testing the boundaries of what is acceptable to say, but I think we can say it could have been, because nobody knows. It could have been. That's what we're going to attempt to say today. We'll see on this episode of Lift the Veil. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I bring you the news, the real news. Yes, the real news and the speculation about the news. So, and speculation is rampant, I can tell you. Certainly more on platforms where there is no medical misinformation policy, like Twitter or Substack. Certainly speculation is going on there, even though, like I said, it is kind of people get in trouble for saying the wrong thing when something bad happens to somebody. And this guy is in bad shape, like right now, and people should be praying for him. And I sat through a moment of silence yesterday for him, so I've done it. And we hope that he recovers. Some people are, even though that's the case, some people are speculating that he might not recover because of the 9 minutes of CPR. So that's what like Steve Kirsch is saying today on his Substack, which is that he's saying that Hamlin is likely brain dead. And sorry if it's insensitive. Like I said in the intro, it's like sometimes I am offensive and I don't mean to be. So if we're speculating about something and you think it's offensive, I'm sorry. it's not offensive to me. So, and I can only go based off of like how I feel. So I'm sorry though if it affects you that way. But we are going to speculate about somebody who might be going to die, basically, and be kind of the first player ever to die during a football game or as a result of a football game. So, I mean, it happens sometimes. I mean, boxers sometimes die. I'm not sure if it's happened in MMA fighting, but sometimes in certain sports and certainly in auto racing, sometimes people die. And conspiracy theorists have been talking about there being an increase in sudden deaths in athletes. Like, for example, it was something that was proposed in the film Died Suddenly, which I did a review for here on YouTube in as much as I could. So that's why I say conspiracy theorists say that. I haven't actually been able to independently verify it, but I've seen charts that seem to show, and if you look at anecdotal evidence, it does seem like a lot of people are dying suddenly in sports. It hadn't happened yet, though, in the NFL or really in the NBA. Like, so in our major sports leagues here in the United States, we haven't had an incident like this yet that I can think of. So while these incidents have occurred around the world, especially in what the rest of the world calls football, we have seen those kind of events. And people say it's happening with more frequency. I can't, I want to see the numbers all together, but I know that people are making that claim. Okay. And then, so they say that the claim is there are more sudden deaths since 2021. And everybody knows what happened in 2021. Okay. So then people say, you know, one is related to the other, basically. So, which is a conspiracy theory, right? In this case, we hadn't seen it happen in the NFL. It's very rare for it to happen in the NFL. Here's what Sanjay Gupta said, is that it was cardiac arrest. I think he says that it was, I don't know if this is where he blames it on commotio cordis, but that was quickly the narrative that spread. Here's Sanjay Gupta talking about it. Play that.
That was the suspicion at that time, that somehow he had suffered some sort of cardiac arrest on the field, and that it was due to this sudden blow to the chest, commotio cordis, as it's called, which is a really rare situation. I mean, this is something that you hear about maybe a couple of dozen times a year, and not typically in football, but more, as you see there on the screen, sports like baseball, where you get a small projectile that travels at a high rate of speed, hits the chest at the right spot, at the wrong time, essentially, and causes the heart to go into this abnormal heart rhythm here. I'll just show you on a model here. It's you think about the chest wall, and then the
hold on,
projectile or
so if you look, so this is the thing to me. Okay, so I've looked into it. I'm qualified to look into it. I'm good at science. I studied it. So, and I can look at pictures and draw conclusions, right? And I can look at data and think about it and draw conclusions. So I'm qualified. What I'm qualified to notice is that in this diagram, which shows the ways that you can get this condition, commotio cordis, it shows balls, hard balls, basically, not like tennis balls even, but baseball, lacrosse ball, hockey puck. And if you guys have handled any of those things, lacrosse balls and hockey pucks are very dense. And everybody knows what a baseball is like. So what they show in this diagram for how it happens is how it happens almost all of the time, which is with like a baseball. Of about apparently 50% of the time it's in baseball. So it's probably from a pitcher or somebody on the field getting hit with a ball right in the chest. It happens when the heart is between doing things. It has to happen at a very specific moment, and it can interrupt the rhythm of the heart, make you have a heart attack and die, basically. So, I mean, it's a genuine, real thing that happens. The only thing is almost always, to the point where you can say like always, is something other than a tackle in football. That's all. So almost every single case, and I'll show you some data, but almost every single case of this thing they're saying is the reason that he had a heart attack is not from a tackle in football. So for it to have happened from a tackle in football would be an exceedingly rare event, to where it's like one, but not like maybe more than 1 in a million. You know, it's so rare that it's never happened before in the NFL, first of all. And I'll show you what I was able to find about how many times it's ever happened in football. Okay, it's like, has it never happened to a football player? Apparently, according to one thing I have data on, it has happened a few times to football players, but hard to say. Could be maybe one time ever, might be 12 times, but I'll show you what I have on it. In any case, the thing about the idea to say that it's this thing is that if it was this thing, Commotio cordis, it would be weird, really, 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 really weird. Like to the point where it shouldn't happen in 1,000 years. Kind of weird. And then the idea that it's happening now, when people are saying that there's an increase in sudden deaths in sporting. And then I'll tell you the reason that people say it could. Can I tell you that? Yeah, I'll see why not. I can tell you conspiracy theories as long as I tell you they're not true. But some people say that there is a mechanism for which actually I'm allowed to say that there are recognized side effects to the COVID vaccines, because it is recognized that myocarditis is a possible side effect to the COVID vaccines. So there is a mechanism wherein somebody could have gotten vaccinated, got myocarditis, which is a recognized side effect of the vaccines, and that myocarditis could have led to sudden death through like an adrenaline surge rather than necessarily being struck in the heart. So there, I said it. That's a conspiracy theory. But that is a mechanism whereby a recognized side effect of the vaccine could have, I'll show you some other stuff, but could have contributed. So whether that's insensitive to say, I mean, this theory, the Commotio cordis theory, is kind of a stretch, because, or depending on how you look at the data, it's just still, it's a highly unlikely explanation, even though it seems okay, because he did get hit in the chest. He did get hit in the chest, but not in the way that they describe this. They show a fist. They say it happens sometimes in martial arts when somebody gives up, like, one of these straight to the chest, or from a baseball, a lacrosse ball, or a hockey puck, things that are extremely dense and travel at high speeds.
Here, you think about the chest wall, and then the projectile or the blow coming to the heart at that exact time when the heart is beating in a very particular way. And that causes the heart to go into this abnormal heart rhythm known as ventricular fibrillation. What would have and that wasn't known at the time, obviously. They didn't know what was happening to him. a lot of times you suspect, and I'm a brain guy, but you suspect a brain or a spinal cord injury. But given that he had stood up and he was standing up for a little bit before he staggered and fell back, it made a spinal cord injury less likely and a cardiac arrest more likely. What we learned overnight from Adrian and others reporting is that, in fact, it was cardiac arrest. And also critically important that they were able to restart his heart on the field.
Okay. So one of the things about Commotio cordis is that it's more survivable if you can get your heart started quickly with defibrillation devices. But the reason Steve Kirsch, some people are saying, giving an argument that it couldn't have been this Commotio cordis, is that they should have been able to restart his heart a lot faster than it seemed that they were, because people are all saying that it was 9 full minutes of CPR. And apparently after that long, most people have permanent brain damage. So, like I said, we hope for the best, but this is what people are speculating right now, is that and then this, apparently there was a second cardiac arrest. So I can't say that I've seen that information for sure, but they were doing some live coverage of this on Twitter, and some doctors were chiming in. And one doctor said that it was unusual that there was a second cardiac event. So I'll play that for you. So I'm not saying, like, because I can't, well, because I can't. I'm not saying it was because of the thing, but it could have been. And what I am saying is that it could have been based on things that people know, like things that are known and accepted. But I am saying that it seems unlikely to me that it was this other thing. But I'll show you more of the data on that. So, because I am likely, being a conspiracy theorist, that I am likely to think, I'm the type of person who's likely to think that it was because of some medical intervention that people are dying suddenly from. But I wouldn't say that to you guys. Let me see. Let me play you this little clip. This was from a Twitter Spaces. This is a good Twitter account that got restored that always has good video clips. The Vigilant Fox, at Vigilant Fox. Just letting you guys know. He's always got good video clips and was banned from Twitter during the medical misinformation days, even though he shares real stuff. So let me play this clip, just mentioning a second heart attack, which I haven't heard confirmed, but these people might have known.
You know, there's a lot of work going on right now that requires him to stay intubated in order to kind of keep everything calm, so you can quickly figure out what you have to do for him, because it doesn't make a huge amount of sense unless he suffered some head injury, and you know it wasn't.
So, Dr. Coca, I just want to push back a little bit on what you're saying. If he's intubated, sedated in the ICU, and critically ill, we see a lot of patients who are critically ill who do undergo cardiac arrest.
No,
right? Would you disagree with that?
Dr. Gu, I mean, I again, from a wealth of experience in the CCU for a decade, I mean, again, these are out-of-hospital cardiac arrests. Yeah, by the way, they come in, right? If their initial result is gone, it is very rare for them to have recurrent effect, especially if it's commotio. So it's not that, yes, of course, patients that are critically 85-year-old patients with pneumonia who have sepsis, yes, of course, those folks do have a propensity to have cardiac arrest. Why a 24-year-old, otherwise healthy person has commotio, is defibrillated, comes to the hospital? It is not typical for that person to then have cardiac arrest again. All right. I mean, it not that it's impossible, but it's unlikely. So,
okay, so that's what he said. I can't verify that fact that the commentary was based upon the fact being that there was another cardiac event at the hospital, but that seemed to be what they were implying. So, and I can play it for you. So let me give you more of the information on Commotio cordis for what Dr. Malone has written about this. Okay. The guy who, you guys know, Dr. Malone, big controversial doctor invented the mRNA vaccine, allegedly, and has concerns about the mRNA vaccine and would be considered banned content for this platform probably. But what he said is that, well, he has some numbers about when commotio cordis happens. And he's saying that we don't know. He's saying we don't know what happened, Commotio cordis refers to the sudden arrhythmic death caused by low, mild chest wall impact. Commotio cordis is seen mostly in athletes between the ages of 8 and 18 who are partaking in sports with projectiles such as baseballs, hockey pucks, or lacrosse balls. These projectiles can strike the athletes in the middle of the chest with a low impact, but enough to cause the heart to enter an arrhythmia. Martial arts is a sport in which a strike of a hand can also cause the heart to change its rhythm. Without immediate CPR and defibrillation, the prognosis of commotio cordis is not very good. The condition is extremely dangerous with rare survival. And then if you see this chart here, okay, which says how cases of commotio cordis happen, which is the theory that they're pressing. 61% is baseballs, 16% is softballs, 12% is hockey pucks, 6% is lacrosse balls. And then after that, it's so little that it's not even worth mentioning. So then there's soccer ball in 1% of cases, hockey stick, in one case, a tennis ball filled with coins. So not even a regular tennis ball. And there's no mention on this chart of it ever happening because of a football tackle. On this chart, see, it shows all the times it happens. Doesn't show it happening because of a football tackle. So then here, this has all the statistics on it. But I have some more statistics that deal specifically with football. Here it says, only one case of commotio cordis was related to football in the United States Commotio Cordis Registry, 2009. Okay, only one case ever in football. And that could have been from being hit in the chest with a football, too. We don't know if it was from a tackle, because it seems like most of the time it happens, you get hit directly in the chest with something. Can I show you the tackle? You guys want to see it? You can see the tackle anywhere. He hits him in the chest. He does. He hits him right in the chest. So it's possible. It's theoretically possible based on what my understanding of what this thing is. But there are a lot of reasons to doubt that that was the reason. And if it wasn't the reason, then there must be some underlying reason, which could be any number of things. We know of one thing that can cause a heart condition that could lead to sudden death during athletics. Okay. So let's see. And Dr. McCullough said that it's very unlikely that it could have been the commotio cordis, apparently, according to Steve Kirsch, which is another like a banned person on Substack. And now back on Twitter. So, all right. And then I can tell you what. Oh, I can tell you a conspiracy theory about it. I can tell you that. Is it all a hoax? Is it all a hoax? I don't think I would be allowed to say that. Oh, he's faking it, right? That would be really crazy. But I don't know what people are implying with this tweet, where they say everybody is kneeling in the picture except for number 33. So people are pointing this out. And that the number of Hamlin's number was 3, but he had a 3 on the front and the back. So people are saying that's a 33. And then people are saying that if you take M and F and you add up the letters, like for what place they are in the alphabet, it adds up to 33. So this all could be a Masonic ritual, free Masonic ritual, is, I suppose, what people are implying. But it's possible. We live in a very strange reality. Finally, Alex Berenson is talking about it. And he was just pointing out that he's just pointing this out, which has nothing to do with the medical intervention, but just has to do with myocarditis, and suggests that sudden cardiac death risk in contact sports is increased if you have myocarditis. But we don't know if this guy had some kind of underlying condition or not. But it would be weird for him to have had a heart attack from that tackle if he didn't have some kind of underlying condition. Because I showed you how rare it would be for it to be this thing that people say, commotio cordis. So, all right, I think I showed you. I think I showed you all the data. There, I have more data. I showed you data that said there was only one incidence of it happening in football. I have other data that says 12 incidents since 1980. 12 sudden deaths due to commotio cordis in football. So I want to make sure you guys have all the data, because I don't know. He did get hit in the chest. He did. And there is such a, I don't dispute that there is such a thing as commotio cordis. And it's possible that it was a freak accident, like at 3 scales of freak. It's possible. So the fact is, we don't know. The fact is, I don't know. So how can you give me a strike? If I'm saying I don't know, but it could be, how can you give me a strike for that? I don't understand. Why do you hate me? Censors. It's cool. We get along now, right? We have people tuned in. Okay, so that's the news that I can share with you about the incident that happened in the football game last night. And we hope that the guy recovers. Although it might, that might be long odds. I will show you some conspiracy. So I'm going to move on from the vaccine news and show you guys some other news. There's a conspiracy theory people have about 5G. Or there have been numerous conspiracy theories about 5G. I've always been skeptical about 5G because in the sense that it's not going to be implemented anywhere. What they actually call 5G, which is microwaves, isn't actually in effect anywhere. It might not be in effect anywhere in this country. I mean, I heard about some early test areas in Chicago and New York, but it's the type of technology that's in 5G, if it's real 5G and not just like 4G plus, which is basically what they're doing now, is something like 4G plus, and they're calling it 5G, which is what happened when 4G came out. Remember, there was 4G, but then there was 4G LTE, and actually 4G was never 4G, and LTE was the only thing. So same thing with 5G. Anyway, I have a video from TikTok that shows that they might not even be installing the antennas in phones. So, but 5G is microwave technology, which could be harmful. Like microwave radiation may be very harmful, but it doesn't travel very far. So it's not practical to use it on any kind of mass scale. The only way you could use it in a stadium, you could use it in the middle of a city where people are really close to the towers and they have a clean line of sight to them. Then you could get real actual 5G. But as far as like everyday use at your house and stuff, no, the antenna would have to be in your living room basically, because it can't even travel through 5G microwaves can't even travel through walls. People don't tell you that. The conspiracy theorists don't tell you that. But anyway, here's a video just to show you. This guy opens up phones in Canada and says they're not even putting in antennas, period. So
don't get a 5G phone because they're dangerous because of the 5G. Now, I have two 5G phones in front of me. Right there is where the 5G chip is supposed to be. And right there is where the 5G chip is supposed to be. I'm sorry to break this to everybody, but every phone, and again, I fix phones every day, so you can take this from a reliable source. There's not a single phone in Canada that supports 5G. There's not a single carrier in Canada that supports 5G. It's a marketing scam. There's no such thing as 5G in this phone. What you're investing in is 5G for the future. So they're charging $200 extra for 5G when it's not even there. I don't know if this speaks wonders to you, but I think the government's doing other things with the 5G towers. So if this doesn't say something to you, I don't know what will. But again, I fix phones every day, and every 5G phone I fix does not even have a 5G chip. Don't get a 5G phone because they're dangerous.
So I don't know what's going on in the US, but apparently in Canada, that's what that guy says, is that they're not even putting in 5G chips. It's just a scam. So let me see if there's anything I have else to tell you. Let me show you some other conspiracies going on in the world about what they're going to do in London. Oh, let me tell you this. Today, January 3rd, 2023, is Greta Thunberg's birthday. I don't know how old she is. Today is Greta Thunberg's birthday, but guess who else's birthday it is? Kyle Rittenhouse. And actually, they're born on the same day and year and are astrological twins. So for people who believe in astrology, astrology is a weird thing. Sometimes I have a co-host on the shows into astrology, and they say you can read your star charts and stuff. So theoretically, these two, Greta Thunberg and Kyle Rittenhouse, would have almost the same star chart. Theoretically, having been born on the same day and the same year. And yet they are different people. And yet they're both famous for different things. So and they're both activists. And this person says that they both have sort of, they look what he calls unisexual, where she has male characteristics and he has female characteristics. Actually, I think this person is proposing that we do a transvestigation on both of them, find out if they are really the gender that they claim to be. I think that's what this astrologer, top of mind astrology, is actually proposing. So that's weird. That's today, apparently. Their birthday is today. And they're the same age, born the same year. Okay. Let me show you some conspiracy theory. I'm hearing about this going on in the UK. How they're dividing cities. So let me play that for you. This is apparently really happening. How they're dividing cities. And this is maybe what the future looks like. Kind of the Klaus Schwab future. Play this for you. This is very interesting.
15 minutes of freedom here in the UK. So let me tell you the plan. The plan is in Oxford, and this has just been passed by the council, to divide the city here into the squiggly city into 6 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you will only have the freedom to operate in the part that you live. So if this is you, the idea is that everybody will live within 15 minutes of the things they need. 15 minutes of a school, 15 minutes of a doctor's, 15 minutes of a supermarket. And if you want to travel to the other zones in your city, or maybe soon your town, you will have to go out an approved route. You will have to journey around the outside of the city in order to re-enter another section of the city. This plan is supposed to be saving the planet. And the idea is that you won't simply be able to cross over into other sections of your city anymore. So if your mother, for example, lived over here, you wouldn't be able to just go across and see her. This would all be done via e-gates, electronic gates, and number plate recognition. You in your area will only be allowed within that 15-minute zone that you've been allocated. The number plate recognition will know if you leave your zone. And you can apply for permission, a permit to leave your zone and travel to another zone. But you'll only be allowed to do this about 100 times a year. This is real. I just have to stop and say that. This is actually being passed by Oxford Council. This is happening in the next 2 years, 2024 it begins. And if you use up all your 100 passes that someone designates whether you're allowed to have to go into the different zones, you'll be fined. Your number plate will be recognized. It will observe that you've gone somewhere you're not allowed in your own city, and it will fine you £100 or £80 or whatever the fine number is.
Okay, I wanted to play that because I have inside information. My wife is from London, and so she has contacts in that city who reported to her that this was actually happening now already, where they're partitioning the city and saying that you can't travel certain directions. Like you have to go one way. Everything's all, super organized. Like we're all going the way of China. I don't even know if China's like that, but that's the direction they want to go. Full and complete control of our lives to reduce carbon emissions, I guess, because of climate change. They say it's hot in Europe. That's what they say. All right, let me see if I have some more news. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to drop a tip, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can leave a message. I'll read it on the show. There is news. Donald Trump Jr. just got a 7-figure deal with Rumble. So now I really have beef with Rumble because they could have set aside a small fraction of this that they're deciding to pay Donald Trump Jr. for doing a podcast 2 days a week. He's getting over $1 million. So I was just going to say, I was thinking of it, what I would do it for. Because I always say, I'd like to get an offer and then I can think about it. But I would say like 50. I would do it for 50K, I think. Just exclusively on Rumble. Then I'd be able to say what I want. And then they'd promote my stream, right? They promote my channel. But I looked at it. It says in this article, Rumble has 71 million global monthly active users. And I asked the AI how many monthly global active users YouTube has, but it's got to be like 1 billion, right? I mean, it's a lot, right? Way more than 71 million, which is why when this video will go on Rumble, a few people will watch it. And when I say a few, I mean a few. I don't even bother going live on there because I know it's rigged. Okay, I have a conspiracy theory for you. This is in the news. China Here, this is a headline. It's just makes you think when you read it. NASA chief says China could claim moon as its own territory if it beats the US to the lunar surface. What do you think of that? It's an interesting headline. He says China could claim the moon if they get there first. But I thought, I don't know. So they're not saying we didn't go, I guess. But they are saying, oh, if China gets there first, like China might beat us to the moon. I don't think it's possible. I don't think we're going. I think you could bet against it. Although they could fake it again, which would be amazing. Actually. Like I hope they do. It'd be cool. If they fake it as bad as last time, or if it's anything like last time, it'll be totally worth it. Okay, now I'm going to go. I think I'm going to have to go over to Rockfin. So thanks everybody who's tuned in on YouTube. I have some videos that I'm not allowed to play. I wanted to get out that information about the football player. Let me see if anybody dropped me a coffee. I mean, I could take phone calls, but they could get spicy too. And this is a spicy topic. So let me see if anybody dropped me a coffee this show. And you still can, even after the show's over, even if you're listening to the podcast, and I'll read it on the next show if you do that. And that is how people support the show or buy t-shirts. Thanks, Down Advices. Says, Happy New Year. The truth is out there somewhere. We just have to find it. Thank you. Thanks, Down Advices. Diane got 5 coffees. Thank you, Diane. Says, Happy New Year. Okay, cool. And that's it. And then I got a tip over on Rockfin. Thanks on Rockfin. Thanks, Michelle Obama is a man who says, Happy New Year from Oz. How do you know for sure, though, that she is what you say she is? All right, I'm going to go over to that extended stream. And then if you want to listen to it, you can go to Rockfin at rokfin.com/lifttheveil, or you can listen to the podcast because I'm going to try to download this show and put the whole thing on podcast where it is allowed. But I'm going to play some things. So we're going to go over to rokfin.com/lifttheveil and play those things for you, and then maybe take some phone calls, although it is getting late. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Good to see you. And for now, that's what it is. All right, cool.